I recently posted a photo of me on The Voice on like a Monday or Tuesday night. It was a live show. And I'm, here's me on stage with singers in the background or whatever it was. I have my microphone and I'm smiling and my left hand is in my pocket. People look at that picture and probably think, oh, here's a successful guy who's been on TV for 20 years. He doesn't have a problem in the world. And I was explaining how my left hand was in my pocket, not to look cool, because I'm gripping the flesh of my left thigh because I'm enduring a panic attack in that moment. I told that story, I think on Instagram or something, and I got a lot of young people in particular who work, a lot of millennials were like, man, that whole thing about gripping your pants, in your pocket, I could relate to that so much.
Okay, everyone, we are back here, couched in color. I'm having a hard time talking today. I always kind of fangirl out over all my guests, but there's some ones who are super special. And today, I can't even believe this. I have the one and only, get myself together.
Stop it.
Carson Daly. Oh my God. I'm like, okay, now I'm going to have my fangirl moment. I'm like, it's Carson Daly.
Oh my gosh, Dr. Alfiee. TRL vibes right there. In the glass at TRL and you're going, Carson, let me up.
Yes. Yes, and I'm lucky because Carson's in the room.
You're the celebrity here in my mind. How much work I've been trying to do on this mental health front. So I've just been following you and Charlemagne and all the great work you guys are all doing. So this is, I'm nervous to be with you for this chit chat today.
Well, it honestly is my pleasure. I rarely get tongue tied. I hope I don't get tongue tied today. I'm just really grateful for who you are and how you show up in this space and how welcoming and open you have been, both around mental health specifically, but more broadly around like diversity in the space, right? With you being a white man, just being so open to other folks who are also having some struggles. Another person that comes to mind who does this, I feel like pretty openly, is Kevin Love.
Yeah.
And so it really is wonderful to have you here. And I'm always going to shout out our friends at Project Healthy Minds because, that's how you and I met. Right. And I'm just so grateful to all those folks over there because we know they're all superstars. So yeah. I think a good place to start maybe is with Project Healthy Minds. Can you talk a little bit about how you came to be involved with them and share with the people about Project Healthy Minds? Because they're doing really good work.
They are doing good work. And I think that the short answer is, as I've gone through really in the last couple of years before the pandemic, when I started to really become public about I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and panic attacks about 10 years ago. And, but I never really talked about it publicly. And speaking of Kevin Love, the great NBA player, he wrote an article for the Players Tribune, which is Derek Jeter's newsletter. And we were covering it on the Today Show. Long story short, he was describing a panic attack he had during an NBA game. And as I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, I had that same exact panic attack experience when I was at MTV hosting TRL, when people probably thought my life was absolutely flawless and perfect. And I was really struggling and I didn't even know I was struggling. I didn't even know what was happening to me. I literally thought I was going insane. I thought I was going crazy. Mm-hmm. So I related so much to what Kevin Love had written. And then from that moment on, over the last couple of years, it has given me the strength. I've had a chance to tell Kevin how much I appreciate him and a lot of other athletes. Michael Phelps comes to mind and a few others who are public figures that have talked so openly about their struggles because it's helped me so much. So anyway, this has been my advocacy, as you know, and I've been, as much as I'm a patient, I'm also, always trying to learn about this space, about other people and how they struggle. And it's not a blanket canvas as far as mental health. It's not the same for me as it is for our friends who lives in communities of color, whose stigmas are completely different, whose access to care is completely different, whose cultural competency and in therapy is often and usually mismatched. There's so much to still learn. This isn't just about my exploration of me to help me get better. This is about my brothers and sisters all across the spectrum. So I feel more like a student of the game in a lot of ways. And I was looking for a way to kind of get some skin in the game. I think it's the best way to put it. I didn't really have a lot of charities reach out to us, people who are on television all the time. Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? And I was like, kind of, where do I want to, hunker down and put my flag and where can I really get involved? And so I met Phil over Project Healthy Minds through Logic, the rapper. Logic is a friend and Logic put up that 1-800-SUICIDE joint. And that I was really inspired by like that whole thing and what that did. And so I interviewed Logic about mental health, and he got me to Project Healthy Minds through Chris, his manager. And so it's a group of millennials primarily across a very broad spectrum of board members. And I mean, there's, which I love. It's very diverse, from all walks of life. And so they've got three main missions. One of them is to break the stigma of mental health. Another one is to help, the corporate work world take a deep dive inside of themselves and be an asset to helping these large corporations offer the same services that they often preach about to their own employees. And then the biggest initiative is to create a tool that is, where people can go, because it's hard to get people to admit they have a problem, and then they don't know where to go. They literally don't know who to call. They don't want to call anybody. So there's a Project Healthy Mind guide that we finally put out that people can go to, and it's a really user-friendly, easy way to find the appropriate course of action for whoever you are. It's a tailor-made user system for people to get matched up properly, to get help. So they have like heavy ties into like the White House, into potential legislation and things like that. So it was just a group of people. I was like, all right, I'm gonna kick it here for a while. And so we've been able to do a lot of really good things, and it's just been fun. It's fun to have, I'm on the board of directors there, and we have these meetings, and to kind of be in it now, like to be inside of the work that's happening with mental health. It's across a large spectrum is so exciting.
I love it. It makes me think about, if you go all the way back to those years on TRL, and being in those moments, I'll be honest, none of us could tell. I don't know if people have ever said to you, yeah, you looked a little like we didn't see it. And so I wonder if you think about that young person from all those years ago. You and I are close in age, and so we're Gen Xers. Yeah. And I think our generation, I have to be honest, I don't feel like people were having conversations about mental health when you and I were, you know what I mean? Like that just wasn't a thing. And I don't even think, even with the field I'm in, I don't think I had a language for it. I don't think I had a language for what anxiety feels like. Because I'm like you, I'm very much one of those GAD folks, right? That generalized anxiety disorder, that's real. And if I don't work on it literally every day, like I have to do something preventative every day, otherwise it'll just start to spiral. And, I can kind of be hell on wheels, but, it wasn't until I went to school and got trained for it that I even had a language for it. Like before that, it was just sort of, I don't know, why am I jittery all the time? Why do I, you know what I mean? Like, why do I worry about stuff and my mom used to say, she passed away about 15 years ago, but she used to say, Alfiee, you're always looking for something to worry about. And I think I know what she meant, like, and now I can put it in context, but back then it was like, I'm really not, do you know what I mean? And so it wasn't like an active quest for worry. It was like, I woke up and there was just stuff to worry about. So I wonder for you, what was that experience like being younger? And I do ask people a lot, can you remember, like, what's your earliest memory of, they have this old saying in my family that's very Southern, nothing ain't wrong, but something ain't right. Like, what is your earliest memory that you can think of where it was sort of like, looking back on it, that probably was anxiety, but I didn't know what it was then.
I mean, when I really started to explore like what the hell was going on with me, because of my age, I felt the need to define it as either environmental or biological. For some reason, because I'm almost 50, I thought, well, it's got to be one or the other, right? I was either born this way, where my body's just soaking up too much serotonin, so I was born kind of broken, or my dad died unexpectedly when I was 5 years old, and my childhood, it was tough there for a minute, you know what I mean? And like that started night terrors, and that started, these crazy, crazy thoughts of like bad things were going to happen to me. And so that must be linked. So it was hard. I felt like I needed to figure out what was nature, what was nurture. And then what I've realized, and I think what is pretty widely known, and you're certainly the expert clinically on this, is that it's a combination really of both. We don't define them as nature or nurture now, because there's no point in that. They do work sort of hand in hand. And so like you, I also think, as far as let me just also throw another wrench in there, because I'm going to keep it real. I am. I'm a man of faith.
Yes.
So God and faith play a big intertwining part with my mental health, with how I choose to frame it. how I choose to deal with things. And so now that's just for me, because
yes,
there's all kinds of, there's no right or wrong answer in any of these discussions about mental health.
Right.
Let me preface up. This is just me. I believe that God made me this way. I'm definitely hardwired this way. And now it's my superpower. I think Kanye says that in one of his songs.
Yes.
That disability is my superpower. And like, I subscribe to that. So when you ask me, like, what's your earliest memory? So I had trauma as a child, lots of environmental issues that impacted my life. And by the way, for those who don't know, my mom ended up remarrying my stepdad, who's I always say God blessed me with two incredible fathers. My stepdad is a hardworking man, didn't come from a whole lot, Italian immigrant story on his side of the family. He had been married before, and he meets my mom with these two little kids after her husband had died, and he came in and saved my life. And he was married to my mom. They both passed away 2 years ago, 6 weeks apart. They're a great love story. But he was my man. He taught me, not by words, by action, how to be a man. Hi, welcome back to Couched in Color. I'm your subject today, Carson Daly, and the great Dr. Alfiee is at the helm. There may or may not have been a technical issue. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Because when you roll with Dr. Alfiee, you learn to roll with the punches.
There you go. Yes, I love it. And I love, we share the Catholic thing, right? And I love, right? Like, just peace be with you, right? That's so cool that we get to share that Catholic guilt and all that good stuff that goes with being Catholic. And I think I love what you said about, like, you didn't say it in this way, but it made sense for me, because I do think that being a Catholic, I'll speak for myself, impacted and influenced my journey with dealing with my mental health, right? Because there's this thing, I think, for many of us who have a faith background, where it's sort of like, some of us think if you pray hard enough, it'll make the worries and stuff go away, or it'll make the mental health difficulties and challenges go away. And that's just not how it works. I think that for me, faith is important in terms of giving me space to make sense of what my experience is. Like, I'm like really like faith. I never talk about it. Faith is a huge part of my life though. And so everything happens for a reason. I believe in that. I believe you have experiences to move you different places in your life. I really firmly believe. I remember when I was much younger, I used to watch when Oprah came on every day. And one of the things that she said is the universe will whisper to you. And if you don't learn the lesson when it whispers, it'll like talk to you. And if you don't learn the lesson when it's talking, it'll yell at you. And if you don't, you know what I mean? And then it'll scream at you. And hopefully you're going to take in, she didn't quite say it in that way, but hopefully you're going to take in the lesson when there's a whisper, but we don't always do that. And I think for me with my faith, when I was much younger, I struggled with, I don't know if this was the case for you at all, but I struggled with, I must be doing, it wasn't God is punishing me. It was more, I must not be being faithful enough. Because if I was faithful enough, I wouldn't wake up worrying about stuff. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course it does. Absolutely. Being Catholic. I think I just skipped that and I went right to, as a coping mechanism, okay, so I'm hardwired this way. I'm a worrywart. I'm worried all the time and I'm anxious, and it's probably sinful because I have so much good blessings in my life and I'm wasting all this energy worrying about things that I shouldn't be worried about. Other people have real worries. And what I would do is think about, okay, well, fine, that I'm going to use my suffering, my internal suffering, as an offering to Jesus. Like, I know it gets deep. Like, I would think about for 34 years, especially at the end there, that dude suffered quite a bit for us. And I was like, okay, so like, this is the hand that I've been dealt for my hopefully 90 earthly years. And I'm going to offer up my suffering or whatever I go through as an homage or reminder to what Jesus did for us. That's how I looked at it.
That is phenomenal. That's like preach. That's like, I feel like I'm like over here, like wanting to sing hallelujah, because it's so, I love that. Like, it makes me teary. I never thought about that.
That's how much faith I have. I mean, that's just a recognition of, I don't want to think like that, but that's just like the Holy Spirit just in me. That's just how it is, and then it becomes a little bit of like, all right, well, am I just saying that because it's like a coping defense mechanism? Like, I gotta do something with this. Man, I've got some mental health. I got to figure this stuff out. Like, I got to seed it somewhere. And I think for people who are in prison or people in tough circumstance, when they often find God, people like to say, well, where else are they going to go or whatever. And I don't buy that. I think as long as you get there, you get there. And so I don't know. I just feel like, I really do feel that way. I genuinely, and it's helped. It's helped because that's the mental health and the faith for the faith-based. It's a different journey. It's just a different journey.
It is. I think it is too. I absolutely think it is. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so important to me to work like over the years of the Coma Project, the nonprofit. A lot of our work has been with different faith communities. And I feel like that is just one of many ways, right? Project Healthy Minds has lots of different ways. Meet people in the workplace. You have not the database, but the system where people can go and they can sort of enter at any level they need. You want self-care? We got self-care for you. You want to find a mental health professional? We got all these different kinds of mental health professionals. What do you want? And so I think in a similar way, the work that we do with the Coma in faith communities allows us to meet people exactly where they are. And of course, you're not going to catch everybody, but at least you're going into a space and giving people room where maybe they don't feel safe other places talking about their mental health, but maybe if you have them in a setting where because they are faithful, you know what I mean, they already have some level of comfort. Well, now maybe we can add this layer on, of a little bit of a conversation about your mental health, and maybe you'll find something useful from that. So I just love that idea.
That's so important.
Yeah.
And that's similar to that sort of cultural competency in therapy, right? It's about matching up. It's about the specificity of mental health as it pertains to individuals. Like, this is me. Like you always said, like, I'm not in the margins. There's no marginal community here. Like I'm only in the margins if you say I'm in the margins, but I'm not. I'm front, I'm center. I'm not a margin. I'm right in front of your fucking face. I'm right here. I'm a white male. I'm a black female. I'm Catholic. I'm Jewish, whatever it is. And I love the idea of this starting to have a space for these conversations that meet the challenges of specificity for individuals. So you said in the faith base, you go there, but this could be what our friend Chris Lamarck is doing in the South Side of Chicago with coffee, hip hop, and mental health. His joint he's got, and so now black men are in a space with the right, you know what I mean? Like it's an environment where they can, and I love that for teenagers, we can do that, There's a great organization here that does a lot of work. Life is Precious. They, Latina teens are like the highest risk group for teenage suicide.
That's it.
And so LIP is a group, and God bless these people. Now they're in that niche business of mental health to me. I just think it's so important.
Yes. And there will never be too many of us doing this work. Never. You know what I mean? Like everybody, what you just named, and then I think about Dr. Jenny Wang with Asians for Mental Health. And, and there's this woman, the Muslim trauma therapist that I follow on IG. And it's like, everybody needs to see themselves reflected so that they know, mental illness doesn't discriminate. There's nobody that it, fails to touch or that it avoids. And so you just need to see your reflection sometimes. And then other times you need to see people who are completely different from you, who are saying to you, I still think you're important. I still think your mental health matters, which makes me so excited about what you've been doing on the Today Show with the segments that you do around mental health, and the number of people, I'm not even lying, the number of people who have said to me, oh my God, so somebody just said to me over the weekend, I was in Atlanta, I just watched you on, talked with Carson on IG, about mental health. And it's, it's important that people can see there's a space for them in the conversation. So I'm just really curious a little bit, if you could talk a little bit about what you've been doing with Today's Show. Is it Mind Matters with your Mind Matters segment?
Yeah. I mean, this is the Lord working through. I mean, like who, from my time at, MTV or being at K-Rock in LA, I'm a music guy. People see me, they know me from, who would have thought that like this journey, The Voice, this great show I get to do on NBC, but now the most important work I get to do is, like NBC News has really given me the reins to own this space in their digital platform and on broadcast when it comes to mental health. And so I'm kind of the guy there now. And so Mind Matters is a digital series that they let me do. And I thought, well, for me, like what I can do is like, I have a platform for storytelling. So now this is what I've done in the last call on my late night show. I did it with bands a lot and up and coming comedians and actors. Anybody who's on the come up, I was like, yo, if you want to be on at 1:30 in the morning, like I'll put you on my show. And then you could take that tape and you could give it to Jay Leno or Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon. And like for new bands, people need access. They just need a way in. I think like my brand was just trying to help people break through. Right. So I was like, mental health, like Mind Matters is a series now that we started in 2020 on World Health Day. And we have done, I guess almost 20 episodes. And my job is really, I try to really find specific stories, whether it's, Kelsey Sheeran, who's a vet, who suffers from PTSD and making bracelets and jewelry is her story. And it's how it saved her. And it was, really specific stuff, or we've done eating disorders and how it affects mental health. We had an actual, homeless couple from homelessness and how that's affected them. And almost like mini movies, we try and make them cinematic and tell very specific stories so that if you look at the list of Mind Matters, there's something for everybody there. So that reflection is so important. And we do, Darius Smith is in Milwaukee, he's in Wisconsin. He started Black Space. We've done Chris in Chicago, Latinas, a little something for everybody, shining a light so that there's some content out there that people can just, I even know from somebody who suffers from anxiety, like I would watch shows like the Today Show. Yeah. And there'd just be some dude on talking about mental health and anxiety and just like, okay, you just have to breathe and like count to 4. Like, motherfucker, like you've clearly never had a panic attack because like there's no breathing exercise in the world in the moment that can talk me off where I'm at.
That's right.
I need to run.
That's right.
I need to get, because I'm sweating, my heart's racing. I don't know why. There's an imminent threat. I got to bounce. But don't talk to me about like, picture an ocean. I'm like, I'm picturing a cab. Like I'm jumping in a cab. I'm going home underneath my covers to cry. Right. So there's different experiences for everybody. It's nice to have touch points that people can say, okay, now this is closer to the type of thing that I'm experiencing.
That's right.
And we can do that now at Mind Matters and at the Today Show. So to round that point out, the NBC News has been great. And I've been really lucky to find kind of my thing there, to have this discussion. And I have it with so many people now, like really famous people and great regular folks. I kind of like the regular people who have stories to tell, who don't get a chance to tell them. I'm like, I'm your guy.
I love that. I love the open heart for, I know I have a platform and let me share. I love people who are willing to say, let me share my platform with you and we can do some good together. Because like the coffee, hip hop, and mental health, I had been following him for a while. And then all of a sudden I see him pop up one day. I'm like, oh snap. Okay. So like we big time now, but it's just like you said, you understand the power of the platform. They can take that and leverage it. Right. And other people will now pay attention. And that is just so important for us to be able to do that for each other. And, I'm sure people tell you all the time how much they appreciate that you've done that. Now, the last one that I saw, could kick myself. I can't remember the sister's name, the Peloton instructor. Where she showed.
AT, Oxygen.
Yes. But before her, there was another Peloton instructor.
The new one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we did Alex. Oh, that Alex wasn't a mental health. That was he's so big time now. That was about his rise. Oh my God. Yeah. Who did we just do?
I feel so bad because she is phenomenal. And I absolutely am obsessed with her, but like I'm old. So her name's like went completely out of my head.
No, but just watch 1 second.
But watch
Kendall.
her. Huh? Yeah. Kendall. Oh my God. Kendall. I'm Kendall. I love you. I'm so sorry I forgot your name, honey. But Kendall Toole, just watching her, I didn't know her story. And I didn't know, the arc of where she came from. But she is always on mental health. When she does those rides, she is like going to work in a conversation about mental health. And people need to see that. So they see you and you're on The Voice and they see Kendall and she's like, superstar, like Peloton instructor. But even for y'all, even where you are at the heights that you've risen, that doesn't mean you're immune to those mental health concerns.
And she went to USC, she's like this, looks like a well-to-do white girl who had it all. Every opportunity. Cheerleader, kick ass in like boxing sports, like good family. Like, all right, what could go wrong with this chick's life? But like you've said, and we know now, mental health issues see none of that. And so she almost, she was a step away on the ledge of her roof of her apartment from taking her own life when her mother had a premonition and just kept blowing up her phone. She said as she looked down, as she was about to toss her step off, the phone light just kept going like this. Like, oh, who is this? And it was her mom, and she answered and she cried, and her mom came and picked her up, and her life changed from that moment. What a powerful story.
Yes. And the light, think about the metaphor, like the visual, the light keeps popping up. I think about God. I'm like, that's God, God is speaking to you, right? The light.
All day.
Let me flash this light on you because you need, like, it could have been the phone could have vibrated. It could have heard it ring, but what she saw was the light.
Down.
That's it.
Anything.
That's it. That's just, and so to know, like you said, that mental illness doesn't discriminate. It was probably something for her that she'd been obviously something for her that she'd been dealing with for a really long time. It makes me think about children, right? You said her mom was the person who was like, something's not right. Let me call my child. And I think about, you have kids, I have kids. And I just think about, how do we help share the message? It's easy for me to say how I do it with my own children. I've been a big mindfulness practitioner for, God, probably 20 years now. And I always joke and say, I have this picture of my daughter, with literally her hair. She has locks now, but her hair was everywhere, Morgan. And she's sitting in a chair. She's doing this with hair standing up everywhere because I didn't know how to really do it then. And she's meditating. And it's because she thought like she emulates her mother. And so she meditates because her mom meditates. But why is that important? It's important because I want to give her tools so that if I can help prevent some difficulty, of course I can't, having kids, you want to save them from everything, but we know we can't. They've got to have some challenges in order to grow. But I can at least give her some tools that she can use to help her on her path. So I'm wondering for you, when you, even your own kids or people you encounter, like in all your travels, what are the kinds of things that you share with young people to help them understand that it's important for them to take care of their mental health too?
I think the biggest thing I do, to be honest with you, is just be brave enough to tell my story any possible way I can, anywhere I can, unabashed, unashamed, because I think in my position, I recently posted a photo of me on The Voice on like a Monday or Tuesday night. It was a live show. And I'm, here's me on stage with singers in the background or whatever it was. I have my microphone and I'm smiling and my left hand is in my pocket. And I wrote, and this sort of answers that question. And that's helping to break this stigma or remind people that you think, but you have no idea. People look at that picture and probably think, oh, here's a successful guy who's been on TV for 20 years. He doesn't have a problem in the world. He's married. He's got kids. He's probably rich. There's no problems ever, blah, blah, blah. And I was explaining how my left hand was in my pocket, not to look cool, because I'm gripping the flesh of my left thigh because I'm enduring a panic attack in that moment. I can't control. That's part of how I'm wired. But panic, it's like a wave. It comes through me. I'm riding it out, and it's like you're gonna die. And I'm gripping. I mean, if I took my pants off that night, I probably have a welt on my thigh. So you see one thing, and I was okay. I worked through it because that's what we do. Yeah. And it doesn't take away from me being grateful of my job or being on television, but it doesn't make me impervious to these things too. So I told that story, I think on Instagram or something, and I got a lot of young people in particular who work, a lot of millennials were like, man, that whole thing about gripping your pants, in your pocket, I could relate to that so much that people are just holding on and almost pinching themselves like, am I okay? I mean that physically and metaphorically. So I think whenever I engage with people, especially younger people, I just want to say like, whatever you're going through, like you're not alone and you're okay. And I promise you, and if I can be an example of that, if I break your idea that I'm some fucking superstar celebrity, then good, because I'm a piece of shit. Like I struggle. I'm God's creation. I'm a sinner. I work at things every day. I try and be a father more than anything. My job, like what I do, is how I pay my mortgage, just like you. I get to put my pants on just like you. My priorities are my faith with God, my family, and then, my friends, myself, my mental health. And it's 24 hours, Dr. Alfiee. I wake up, I got one eye like this. I wake up and I go, oh shit, I'm still here. All right. Like God's given me one more day to try and get it right. I take a breath. I say thank you for whatever I have. I show some gratitude. And then I just like every moment in the day, it's like, I just try and make the best decision, the best thing, not for me, but what benefits God's will for me and for everybody, and then I go to bed.
Yes.
That helps me not think about what about tomorrow? What trip are you going to take? Next week is like, let's talk about today, right here, right now. What's in front of me? Let's be prepared.
Yes. Everything that you just said. Like there are times when people come on and they say something and it's so profound in its simplicity that I can't say anything else. So I just appreciate you sharing that so openly and just an exclamation point to everything you said. And I just really appreciate it. And I think for me, one final thing I'm curious about is, what do you feel like is on the horizon for you? Not overall, but just in terms of your journey with mental health and spreading that message. Are there guests that you're like, I got to get this person on to talk about their mental health? Are there projects that you're working on? what kind of things like excite you about future opportunities for how you're going to use this platform to talk about mental health?
All of it. Being with you and Charlemagne at the Expo in New York at the Marquis Marriott with 5,000 people, having other opportunities to kick the knowledge and share experiences and create space and listen, like I want to be a good ally to the communities of color. I want to shut up and listen because I don't know, you know what I mean? I listen to Doug Reed and Reggie Howard from Black Men Heal, I shut up, listen, you know what I mean? Like, listen, I don't have answers just because you see me on TV talking about mental health and this and that. You got to learn. You got to be open and willing to learn. So I hope in the future I continue to be a sponge and absorb and listen to people's stories and learn from it and share my experiences and I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. I like being in the fire. I like people. I don't mind going to the source. I hope I have opportunities to do that a little bit.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, just to continue to learn from, experts like you and the people at Project Healthy Minds, the people that I surround myself with, the opportunities that God gives me to talk about it. And then it's like Fight Club, the movie now. I'm in the JFK or LAX and people like, yo, like, me too, man. Like, you're looking out on all that talk about anxiety and grabbing your I get that a lot. I like that connection with real people. You know what I mean? Like, that's like my red carpet. Like most celebrities love to go to the bullshit, the red carpet. I don't like any of that.
Yeah.
My red carpet is just meeting everyday real human beings who struggle or who don't, and just having a shared experience of a truth.
That's it. A shared experience of a truth. That's enough. We love it. We love it. Well, Carson.
Yes, doctor.
All I can say is thank you so much.
Don't you dare. Don't you thank me.
No, for who you are. Seriously, for who you are, for being that ally. I remember when we sent some gifts to the kids and you shared with me. I've talked to my kids about why this is important.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, how do you can't raise kids better than that. Like teaching kids and your kids are gorgeous. At that little age, like there's space and room for all of us in this world.
Yes.
And we want to hold space for other people who share similarities to us, but also hold space for people who might be different from us. My thing is always, we're all different from each other, right? You're not different from me. I'm not different from you. We're all different equally from each other. And so the idea is, how do we, just come together in ways for, I think, the good of the collective. And that's what you do. You create space for the good of the collective. So I am grateful. You always tell me don't say thank you. So I'll just say I appreciate you giving me your time. I appreciate your voice. I appreciate us fighting through the technical difficulties. And I appreciate the intro to welcome back, because that's going to stay with me forever and ever and ever. And I thank you so much, Carson. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Alfiee. I love you, and I can't wait to see you again. And hopefully it'll be soon. So thank you for all that you do. You know that.